Welcome to All In for Estacada Schools. Joined by School Superintendent Ryan Carpenter, we'll be taking an in-depth look into the work, the data, the wins, and the fun that's happening every day in the Estacada School District.
Hey, thanks for joining me this week to listen as we kick off our All In for Estacada Schools podcast. I'm so excited for this opportunity to dive deeper into some of the hot topics we touch on in our Super 60-second videos.
So, if you could go back to repeat one grade in school, what would it be?
So if I could go back to one grade level in my educational career, to me, that's an easy one. It's the 4th grade. I absolutely loved the Oregon Trail units. And for those of you who graduated in the 90s and 2000s, will remember one of the first video games out for the computer was the Oregon Trail game. And I could just spend hours on that, hunting, trying to ford the rivers, trying to make sure my wagon didn't break down. So easy one for me. If I could go back, it would be to do the Oregon Trail unit again in 4th grade. That was so much fun. Part of the reason why I became a social studies teacher in the first place. So today I'm excited because in our school district, we are all in on continuous improvement. This means that we are constantly collecting data and feedback to help guide our decisions and ensure that we are always raising that bar. We've collected a ton of feedback this year on how much our families and community are enjoying our Super 60-second communications. And we wanted to just take that just one step further because we know that each family has different communication needs. We know some of you prefer the text message while others prefer emails. The s'mores seem to be popular in some pockets of our school district, and our video communications have become more and more popular, and people are tending to gravitate to those more. So that's why, really, we've had a lot of different methods of communication, and that's ultimately to meet your unique needs. This podcast is for those of you that always are hungry to learn more about what's going on in Estacada Schools. This is for the families and the community members that watch our Super 60 Seconds and still have questions or want to dive deeper into some of the hot topic issues or the big decisions that are coming down the pipeline of what our leadership teams are working through and towards. But really, I'm excited today about this first podcast because if you're driving on your commute to work and are just looking to learn more about Estacada Schools, or you're on the treadmill this morning, this is just a great opportunity for you to be able to, A, learn more about this school district, but B, as questions come up or as you engage with some of your other family friends or friends who have kids in the school district, you can help us kind of share the message a little bit about some of the hot topic issues and help us just get that word out and hopefully get that word back to us so we can continue to be a school district that represents the desires of our community. So buckle up. I hope that this is an engaging opportunity for all of us as we try to do a better job of communicating all the great things that are going on and some of the challenging things that are going on inside our school district.
Hot Topics.
So I'm excited about this Hot Topic segment, and this is one that will be a regular mainstay in our podcast. And Hot Topics is really a conversation that I'm sharing with you in a transparent way to talk about some of the major things going on inside our school district or at the state level that could potentially affect our school district. And I also just kind of want to share with you the direction of what our leadership teams are thinking about as we approach and tackle some of these hot topics inside our schools and in our community. So the number one hot topic that we need to discuss today is what school is going to look like next year. Now, I need to say first and foremost that there's still a lot of things that could change over the course of the summer. We're getting pretty good at change, as even from last summer, 1 year ago today, there has been so many changes, a lot of which are out of our control. However, it's important that we're able to anticipate what the changes might be in an effort to offer the best school for our children and our community. So it's important to note that on June 17th, the Oregon State Board of Education is going to begin voting on specific rules and guidelines for what schools will look like next year. I intend to see on July 22nd the final Ready Schools Safe Learner Fall Guidance. That's when it's going to be released to the public. Now, July 22nd is a really long time from now. And I know that that is frustrating for a lot of parents. I've got to tell you, I'm a parent of 3 children in this school district too. And as I think about my plans for my kids, I sure would like to have more information right now so I could think about what I'm going to do. We know that a lot of children from different school districts moved out to the Estacada School District because some of the great in-person learning things we were doing throughout this school year. Some of our outside district folks are trying to figure out what's going on and if they're going to stay in the Estacada School District or return back home to their home district. We also had a lot of families exit our school districts to go to charter school or homeschool or some different alternative options due to their preference, either because of safety preferences and or face mask preferences and everywhere in between. And I think that, first of all, that's really cool. I think it's awesome that the Estacada School District was able to successfully provide options for families to make that fit their needs best. Our school doors were open for those families who wanted to continue the in-person public education learning experience. Our students could, if they chose, continue to stay in comprehensive distance learning and still be with their peers at their neighborhood school and with their teachers throughout the entire school year. But parents also had the option to unenroll and go to different opportunities. One of the challenges with this July 22nd release is this delays families' abilities to make decisions as to what they're going to do next. Now, why that's important to note for our school district is because we don't know who's all coming back and who's all staying. Not to mention, the Estacada School District is already the #1 growing community in terms of new families moving in and purchasing houses. And so growth and planning for growth, the logistics of planning for growth and opening up our schools next year is going to be a tremendous challenge for us this summer. So here are some quick hitters that I do want to be able to share with you of what I think schools will look like next year, subject to change. So I believe operationally, the Estacada School District will be open to all students 5 days a week or open full time. So we'll be reverting back to a normal school day pre-pandemic. I'm very excited about that, and I'm very excited to offer parents the opportunity to return back to full day, in-person, 5 days a week school. We as a school district are still working on potential online options for some of those families who still wish not to send their students to school. Now, the data has told us that this comprehensive distance learning or hybrid schooling has actually worked pretty well for some of our students and for some of our families. We need to make adjustments to make sure that we're engaging that child as well. And so our building principals and our district leadership teams, combined with some teacher leadership teams, we're going to be working this summer to see what is the best fit to maximize our resources to offer that full-time in-person learning, as well as an opportunity for students and families to select what's right for them. We're also going to be expected to have the state-required seat time back in effect. So if you're a parent of a high school student, if you're a parent of a middle school student, you will notice that this year students started pretty late, from 10 o'clock a.m. all the way to regular release times. Because we're mandated by the state for a certain hour requirement that each student must be in person and in their desk, we're going to be returning back to that. So you can expect next year for an, in general, 8 o'clock to 2:30 start and release time, similar to what it was pre-pandemic. It's also important to note that PE laws are also back in effect. And one of the new laws that occurred about 3 years ago is that we are required to offer physical education for every child every day. And so in order to meet those new law requirements as we return back to school, we have hired an additional physical education teacher at Estacada Middle School to support that. And so I'm proud to announce that the Estacada School District is going to be in full compliance of the new PE laws next year, and that's a good thing. Now, what about face coverings? I know that that's a very, very hot topic amongst a lot of our families inside our community. So again, the determination to wear face coverings or not is not an Estacada School District decision. This is a decision that comes to us from the Oregon Department of Education and ultimately through the Oregon Health Authority. So we believe next year that face coverings at this point are still going to be required for children. We are hearing some rumors that if children and or adults have been vaccinated, they will not be required to wear face coverings or face masks. There is still a lot of work to be done in terms of verification and how that process goes. I'll be honest with you, from a school leadership perspective, I'm not very excited about operating or executing any type of verification system. I don't like identifying people who have and have not received the vaccination. I don't like coding them. I don't like anyone feeling different because of their own decisions or the decisions made of their parents. And so at this point, this is something over the course of the summer, we're going to need to have a conversation with our leadership team and our families and our employees to determine how best we want to approach face coverings if options are provided to us. We can expect that physical distancing will be about 3 feet next year to the, and I want to make sure you hear this, 3 feet to the degree possible. So no longer is it required 3 feet. It's 3 feet to the best of our ability. And that is for all people. So currently, as we end this school year, kids can be mandated at 3 feet, but adults must be at 6 feet. The good news is in our physical distancing, what I'm being told from the state is that we can be all at 3 feet next year. And again, that's subject to change, and we know a lot of things have changed over the course of summertime. But that's important to note. The last thing that I think is important in terms of face masks, physical distancing, which I've talked about, as well as the, in general, 100,000 foot level of what schools will look like next year, we still need to be prepared for isolation and quarantines. Now, I know that our school district community got hit really hard with COVID in the latter parts of May. We saw some considerable spikes, which put a lot of our students and our employees out on quarantine. We're getting better and better at that as a system, really to try to mitigate who we're sending home. But as we engage with students who continue to test positive for COVID-19, who have yet to become vaccinated, we're still going to be required to send people home. It's my hopes that we can continue to improve this process, get feedback from our families on how the process has been for those who have experienced it, but also that we can continue, most importantly, that we can continue to keep the learning going for those students who we are sending home on quarantine so that they can stay connected even though they're learning remotely. Now, some local decision-making options. So what I've shared with you so far is out of our local control. But we do have some local control in how we transport students to the school district. So our school district can make the determination to fill our buses and bring all students onto campus who need to be transported onto buses. We can make a determination of how we screen and how we do our entry systems to make sure all students and staff are coming in safely. We also now have the local decision to allow visitors and volunteers into our schools. Now, this is new. If you'll remember last year, unfortunately, we had to send all of our great volunteers home. They were not allowed to come into our buildings. This year, we will be able to allow visitors and volunteers to come in, and we're very much excited to bring that much needed support to our students back into the classroom. So that's a big win for us that we're excited about. So that is really kind of the hot topic I wanted to share. We touched briefly about that in the Super 60 Seconds. I wanted to dig a little bit and dive a little bit deeper to it. Now, here's the thing I want to point out, and this is where a podcast is a great opportunity to do this, and I might get in trouble for this later on, but I do want to share with you that I understand that everybody has their own opinions about what the state's doing, about what school districts are doing, both in Estacada and outside of Estacada, and I understand that, and I respect all different aspects of your opinion towards this. What we're trying to do right now is build the best plan that represents the wishes and desires of the Estacada School District, but most importantly, allows for high levels of learning for our students. So we're going to continue to build, we're going to continue to listen, and I'm going to continue to communicate with you. But I want you to know that I understand that all of our plans are not going to meet everybody's needs. We're going to try our best to keep students at the center of what we're trying to do and the values of Estacada first and foremost. So I look forward to this great, hard work together this summer, and I can't wait to continue to transparently, openly, and honestly communicate that with you throughout the summer.
What's in Ryan's inbox?
Okay, so in the inbox section, this is going to be a fun one. So I roughly get about 215 emails a day. I actually track that, so I can tell you what my averages are month for month and day by day. And the superintendent of Estacada Schools gets roughly 215 emails a day. Inside those 215 emails are obviously themes of different things that the community and other outside agencies are communicating or trying to communicate to me. The number one thing I'm seeing in my inbox this week is about curriculum. What is the district's policy for adopting new curriculum? And how are families integrated in this process? So that's a great question, and right now a very hot political topic, hence why it's in my inbox right now. So here's what I want to tell you to put some of you at ease, but also to educate some of you on how we make curriculum decisions in the first place. So as the superintendent, it's my responsibility to execute the policies voted upon by the Estacada School Board of Directors. And inside those policies are guidance of how we select curriculum. It's a very formal, collaborative, and robust process. So Scott Sullivan, who is our District Director of Teaching and Learning, each and every single year, our school district reviews different subject curriculums. Like next year, for example, we're going to be reviewing the English language arts curriculum. This current school year that's almost ended, we're focused on world languages. That's Spanish, American Sign Language, etc. And so Scott Sullivan, our Director of Teaching and Learning, brings a large group of teachers, of parents, of community partners together, and they, as a big committee, review a whole bunch of different vendors and different textbooks and different online resources and access. And so this group reviews all of this stuff and then ultimately makes a recommendation to the Director of Teaching and Learning, who makes the recommendation to me, and then I ultimately make that recommendation to the school board, who votes upon it and the purchase of it. Now, it's important to note that inside that committee is where the opportunity to make sure that the curriculum reflects the values of the community, that is aligned with the National Common Core State Standards and the Oregon Common Core State Standards, and sets our teachers up with the tools that they need to make sure that everything is successful inside the classroom. Now, I can tell you with confidence that currently there is no curriculum that has been approved that deals with things such as the paradigms of critical race theory or any other political hot topic things. That's not currently occurring inside the Estacada School District, nor has that specific theory and or methodological framework been a part of any approved curriculum. So the number one question I'm receiving right now is critical race theory inside our school district? And my answer to that is no. There is no approved curriculum with or containing critical race theory. And so I think that's an important one to share. And I look forward to deeper conversations with our community about critical race theory and about what we do to make sure all students feel included inside our school district and have the same accesses to educational experiences. But I just wanted to share that that's number one in my inbox, and you got to be a part of my emails today. Thank you.
Fact.
Or fiction.
In this last section, fact or fiction, this is going to be my favorite section, I believe, at least so far in our podcast. So, we talked about the hot topics. We're talking about what's number one in my inbox. This is the one where we get to talk a little bit about social media. Now, I personally am not a social media person. I do not have a Facebook account or really anything other than Twitter, which, by the way, follow me at Estacada Carp on Twitter. That being said, we have a great communications team, and we have so many great community members who watch the social media platforms for us and include us when things are happening out there on social media. And so this segment is about fact or fiction of things that are being said in social media. There are things that are being said that it's probably important that I tell all of you, yeah, that's true. Those are really happening, or that really did happen in our school district. And there's some things where it might be an opportunity to say, whoa, hold on a minute. That statement is not entirely accurate or completely fiction, and I hope I get the opportunity to dispel some rumors and myths as we all do our best to make sure that Estacada schools are great. So our first fact or fiction is something I'm asked a lot. Are we getting portables or portable classrooms? This one is fact. So like I told you earlier in this podcast, the Estacada School District per capita percentage is the fastest growing community in our school district in the state of Oregon. And so the majority of people who are moving into our communities are primarily young families with young children. Now, this is awesome, and we welcome anybody who moves inside the Estacada School District, and it's our responsibility to serve every child who walks inside our door. But this has created some growth problems inside our school district. At Clackamas River, we're near capacity, and next year at Rivermill Elementary School, we will be over capacity by 2 classrooms. And so to be proactive, we have ordered 2 portable buildings containing 4 total classrooms. We think that 2 classrooms will be empty this year and 2 classrooms will be full of students this year. But we're purchasing 2 portables because we believe that the growth is going to continue. Now, the growth is a bigger conversation that we need to have with our community. The only way that we're going to be able to get ahead in this growth is to pass a bond. And that's a different conversation for a different time. But it is fact, the Estacada School District is purchasing 2 portable spaces that'll contain 4 classrooms. We're also purchasing a portable office space as we start to pull back some of the resources that are housed in our elementary school to provide more classroom space and more room. We're already actively working through that process. So that is fact. Thank you, social media, and I'm glad I had the opportunity to confirm that. So that's a wrap for our first episode of All In for Estacada Schools. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that this is a productive communication and something all of you will continue to want to engage in more. Please share with other parents inside our school district community so they too can know what the hot topics are, what's going on in my inbox, and an opportunity to play the fact or fiction game with us. We'll go over some of these items as we talk more about it. And again, I just want to thank you so much for listening. This could not be a better time to be raising our children inside the Estacada School District. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week.